Bob writes about it. Jim talks about it. But Chuck did something about it.
Foreman on a big hole across the 10. He's something else. He's out in touchdown land. He's something else, baby.
Now, here's longtime columnist Bob Sansevere, Fox 9's Jim Rich, and the great number 44,
Double 4.
Chuck Foreman.
Welcome to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, Fox 9's Jim Rich, another legend, the superstar Mike Morris, and a legend in the window business and others, Tyler Ganz from the Window Store, are sponsors of this show, where we will, well, I'm curious what the others of you think about the Vikings game. I will say this, and Mike, you would know the man I'm going to make the comparison to. It hit me during Monday night's game. Kevin O'Connell is a present-day Denny Green. Overall, he's a good coach. He is not a good game day manager. He is not a good game day coach because he does not adjust, and he did not adjust even from the Pitts or the Detroit game to the Rams game. I mean, we all knew what they were going to see, that the rush he was going to see, and he never adjusted at halftime of either game. And Darnold was wretched, but I put a lot of it on O'Connell for not giving him a chance.
You know what I give it? Yep. No, wait a minute, hold up. Let's back up on the Sam Darnold deal. All right, we talking about two games that I watched and you watched. And all I saw was constant pressure. Now, everybody was talking about you got to get rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds. 1, 2. I ain't even off the ball yet. So how you going to throw the ball that quick when he's looking to throw the ball? Nobody's open. And certainly he probably should have run or done some stuff like that. No question about it. But, you know, that was a total team loss.
It was. However, this is why I keep going to O'Connell. He played a guy who, the first play just about every game with them, it's a short pass to Puku Nacua.
Right.
Why don't the Vikings do that with the receivers
exactly.
they have?
That's what I'm saying.
And
we
it
should
helps
have
your
adapted.
quarterback.
Right. It would have given them more confidence. We would have got down the field slowly but surely. I don't know why. I have...
Well, Mike, do you see the comparison?
No, it definitely is. I mean, the clock management hasn't been his problem at all. I think Kevin does a good job with the clock, but Denny didn't. So I see, but I do know what you're talking about.
But not in this game.
Hey, who's the second leading? I mean, how many games did Denny Green win? Is he number 1 or number 2?
Well,
he's got to be number 2 based on longevity alone because Bud was around a lot more years.
Well, yeah, I agree on that one. But
all right, everybody keeps talking about Denny Green, but that Denny Green didn't play the game.
Did it Iowa?
The players played the game.
Iowa, but yeah, I agree with you on that.
But he
come on.
But he did. I mean, he ran the team. And Denny was a good coach, but not a good game day coach.
Denny was a lot like Bud Grant too, though, in that he would always make a really good evaluation of the talent. And
yes,
and
that's part of coaching.
And cut the rest of them, and it didn't come back to bite him in the rear end. But there were some issues that we all know that when the biggest moment, the biggest stage.
The players didn't play.
Yeah, they play.
Yeah.
And when it gets really big, like the Detroit game, last game of the season, to decide the NFC number 1 seed, and then the second one, which was a playoff game against the Rams in Arizona, they were incredibly huge moments for the quarterback that had very, very little experience other than the regular season. And the ball did fly. When he did have time or not, the ball was overthrown, and that's just a juiced-up quarterback that can't settle down.
That's an offensive line that ain't doing their job.
Well, no, but when he's open though,
no. Yeah, he might have overthrew 1 or 2, and they dropped 2 or 3. But I'm saying everybody keeps going back to this quarterback, and there's no player, no position, especially offensively, that depends on their overall of the people up front.
I totally agree.
All right, I can't run, I can't catch, you can't do anything without those guys doing their job up front. Now, I'm not saying Sam couldn't have played a little bit better, but don't throw that all on him.
No, I wouldn't.
That team did not come ready to play football Monday night.
And that's coaching.
Well, I agree. I totally agree that it's coaching mostly.
All right.
The setup and the way you bring a team in to play a game like that, especially at a neutral site. I mean, that's actually an advantage. That's an advantage. Not having to go to the Rams, to Los Angeles, where that would have been a different house. But the fact that they got to even it up a little bit and make it away game for both teams, if you will, that's to me an advantage. Somewhat.
But the
I'm not saying it's
bottom
gonna win
line
the game
is,
for you, but
I don't care if you're home or away, but you got to bring your A game.
oh, no question.
All right,
No question
I
about
haven't
that.
seen a fan make me play better. I make myself play better.
Yeah, but the noise. I mean,
that might have
I
an
couldn't-
effect on if
look,
you
I
can
couldn't
hear or
agree.
not.
Yeah, I couldn't
but
agree
it don't
with you
have
more.
anything to do with you executing.
No, it doesn't. But I'm trying to say that the moment when the moment is biggest, you do have to bring your A game. The whole team. The whole team. But if you want to talk about juiced footballs coming out and over everyone's head, then Darnold was guilty of that.
Hey, look, man.
Well, the offensive
This is
linemen
the
were throwing the ball.
ultimate team sport. Ultimate. Now, look, you keep blaming it on this one guy when the whole doggone team wasn't doing their
Well,
job.
you're blaming it on the offensive lineman.
And I'm saying
I'm blaming it on the coach.
I'm saying the offense. Okay, let me ask you this question. Here's the question. Okay,
ahead.
simple. Was Sam Darnold under pressure the entire game?
The first and second game, are we talking about the Ram game?
No, I'm talking about. Oh, hey, you want to go to both? You can
I
go to
don't know. I
both.
don't know which one. I was talking
Yeah,
about.
well, okay, let's go to both. Every one of them plays, that man was on that field. He was under pressure.
Detroit started that game. Actually started out okay.
That's
for him.
like you handing me the ball when there's three guys in the backfield wanting me to get yards.
I hate Chuck Foreman right now. He's bothering me a lot right now. He's bugging me a lot.
I'm not bugging you. I'm just saying, look, listen, overall, it's an overall. Hey, look, there's
against
too many
Detroit,
guys that didn't come
they
and
got
don't
them.
know playoff football.
Agreed. And I wouldn't be one to talk about playoffs that much because the Super Bowls I certainly can. I played 11 playoff games.
Unfortunately, you came around at the wrong time, so I got the most experience here as far as playoff goes.
No question.
Okay, so I'm telling you that our team did not have enough guys that knew what playoff football was. The mental preparation, the total kind of isolation you got to have from your family, from everything else outside, to concentrate on your position and your assignments, so that you aren't the one making mistakes, so the other team can win.
And
you want to win on their mistakes.
I was saying in the biggest stages, which had to have been the Detroit game, that had more riding on it than any playoff game I ever played in, and then the Ram game. That you do have to bring your A game, but Darnold wasn't present for two of them because he had crap up his neck.
Okay.
Well,
So it wasn't the fact that it wasn't the fact.
I think,
I love him.
I love you, and I'm mad at Sam just like the rest of the world.
I am.
Right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
you got
Hey, I ain't mad at him.
But from the get go, what you're saying, the very first set when they came down and scored like that, right? And then we had a bad call from the refs. It could have been a scoop and score.
Right.
So I mean, we had momentum against us from the get go. But you're right. We came out dead flat.
Well, I
there was
agree
nothing
that.
there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Especially
Right.
against the
So
Rams.
that's what I'm saying. So if you got a one and out, that Mike, that one and out thing, that whole preparation thing, that whole
Scripted plays.
you're just so intense. You can't make mistakes. You so hyped up. I mean, you know what? I remember with the Vikings when we got to playoff time, it was almost like being in a morgue. Everybody was so darn quiet because they were so darn focused on what they had to do. The practices weren't like, it was aggressive and all that, but it was kind of like a quiet before the storm. The storm was coming. Carl Eller, Jim Marshall, those guys, they were coming.
Oh, absolutely.
And let me go back to ripping O'Connell for this. Because here's the problem I have. You're right. You're absolutely right about
I agree
the
with
line.
everything you
But
say,
he's
by the
right.
way.
But also, there are things that you could do when a game starts and
Right.
your guy's getting an onslaught.
Right.
You leave another tight end. You put a back who can actually block in. You do something. And then here's the biggest problem I had as the game wore on. Where was the sense of urgency? I mean, they needed to come back, and he's treating it like they're ahead.
Exactly.
I agree. I
agree with
totally
that too.
I mean, I don't know what happened to his mind.
We
don't
won
know.
the
It's
we
just
won
like
the
they
time
went-
of possession.
They went blank.
Well, yeah, you won it because you took so much time. Now, Jim, I have to go back, and this is for me revisionist history. I can't believe you were saying after a few games they should sign Darnold now.
Yes, because if you got him cheap, you could.
You and I agreed at the
All
time.
right, here's what I'm going to say about
right.
Sam Darnold if I can. Okay, whether the Vikings bring him back or not, I'm going to tell you this. This guy's on his way to do some really good things in the NFL. Now, he knows what to do. He's with the right team, the right coach, the right system. And so whether the Vikings sign him or not, Sam, if he wants to go and continue to grow, I think this would be the place to grow. But
Good.
he gonna get paid anyway.
I don't know that he's going to get the money. He cost himself money.
Okay. Here's what I'm saying. He might not get 50, but he'll sure get 30.
I don't think he will.
I guarantee
He
it.
will.
Here's the
He'll
problem
get
that
30.
he has now.
He'll get 30
after this. And this is something that I have talked about in a
and
year.
all I want is 100.
That would have been fair.
That would have been fair with me.
But look at what he throughout the year, he held on to the ball.
It's not fired
And at the
him.
time, I'm saying for the line, hey, they're giving him time. But through all this, he had a coach that never foresaw him be getting pressure because he takes so long to hold the ball. He should have shortened up routes for him. But they have a coach who the problem I have, and it's all crystallized. Kevin O'Connell has a system, and he's not going to change. He's not going to adapt, but adapted.
Okay, Bob. He was holding on to the ball because the guys weren't open. When he went back and was going through his progressions, the 1, the 2, the 3, heck, none of them was open.
Let me ask both of you this, because you played the game, and I've been assuming all year that he was going through his progressions. Now I'm starting to wonder if he just locks onto a guy. How did he miss Addison in the Detroit game? How could somebody be that wide open if you're doing progressions and you don't see him?
Or Jefferson when he was standing
Yes.
on that one off to the side.
A lot of guys.
I will say.
Or the
a lot of
offensive
pressure,
line
and,
90% of the
I was
time
just
not
gonna
doing
say
their
it.
job.
I was just going to say that. I just said pressure under duress caused a lot of it. You're not able to when you're running, and you can't see the field if you're being chased and you're trying to look back for your second or third. You're under duress,
Okay.
and that's the problem. But there were times where they were doing well and playing well in the Detroit game, where they ended up on the 3-yard line twice and went for it twice and didn't come away with points twice. Didn't warm up their kicker, didn't get a kicker started at least, and let him chip a couple through because he may need to. I think that's the way you do it. I really do.
You know what I know? I know this. I know when I'm down in that stance and I'm looking at those guys, those defensive guys, and looking in their eyes and looking how they looking at me, and they coming at me, and then I go and I'm getting the ball and there's nothing. There's like all of them like, what happened to the blocks?
Yeah,
You know, that ain't a good fun. That ain't a fun feeling because I'm looking around trying to find a place to go, and there ain't no place
All
to
right,
go.
we need to take a break. When we come back,
You know what? We should have just signed Cousins in.
that
Because the whole problem.
Whoa! Thank you. That's what we're going to talk about.
I hope you're happy.
We are coming.
There are some days when I
we
walk
are
in
coming
here
back because
and I don't know who you are.
but
And look what you did. You just messed it up.
It's where
Now
I
it's the
was
muddy
going. Yes,
middle.
I was gonna. That's what's gonna be the next segment, and it will be
You son of a.
why it would make sense to try to get Cousins signed because he'll cost $1 million, just like Russell Wilson cost the Steelers, because Atlanta's on the hook for the big part of his contract. So he could go somewhere and make next to nothing. Now, we got to take a break. We're going to come back. We got to tell people when we come back where you can find Chuck throughout the playoffs if you want to go meet him. So we're going to take that quick break. And the JimBob Sports Jamboree brought to you by the Window Store. Be right back. We are back with more of the JimBob Sports Jamboree. Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, Fox 9's Jim Rich, the Window Store's Tyler Ganz, and the Superstar Mike Morris. Mike is brought to you by, well, you got Dodge of Burnsville and you got Ace Hardware, right?
Dodge of Burnsville, get in your truck or your car that you just bought from Dodge of Burnsville. Get in the car. You have 4 different directions you could drive, or at least 4 different destinations. Okay, it could be Zimbrota, it could be Egan, it could be Rosemont or Farmington. If you're looking to go find a place where you can find helpful hardware, folks, that truck should be bought at Dodge of Burnsville. Drive right past the trash compactors and straight up to the Dodge of Burnsville dealership. You'll notice it by having red carpet and 5 gold stars up on the side of the building. Whoa. They really don't have that. Oh. I'm just going to make that up. Hopefully you'll feel like you've walked in on a red carpet, bought a nice car or truck, and gotten your value out of your trade. Hopefully that works out. I know it will. That's why I'm sending you there. Get in that doggone truck. Head up to Polici's Ace Hardware. If you're looking for paint, that's what they're pushing right now, is getting the paint and everything done for all the projects during the winter. Head over there. Have them match the paint up so that you won't be a knucklehead trying to find your kind of paint. And maybe I'll mix a little bit of red with green and make a yellow. Like you would, Jim.
Yeah.
Like I'll put maybe a touch of black. You'd be like Bob Ross. Mix a little of this and that, and then just throw it up on the wall. The wife will be happy. No, you will flunk that test. Have them do it. They have the technology that can mix the paint, match the paint, and get it on your wall looking the right way.
Damn it, Mike, my head hurts. So what do you mix to get yellow? What would
I
red
don't
and
know
green
either.
be?
But I think you.
Red, blue, who knows?
I think you messed up on it, but I'm gonna go to
Yellow's
Ace
the
anyway.
primary color.
I'm going to Ace because we redoing one of our rooms, so I'm gonna tell them you sent me.
Tell me how to get yellow.
If I don't get a deal, I'm gonna be really upset.
Head on down there. Hey, look, I'll go down there and mix it for
And
you.
I'll
Just grab some Viking offensive linemen. They turned yellow.
I'll go down there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, do that. Hey, Mr. Foreman said he's going over there.
I'm
so why
going.
wouldn't you head on over there and see next year's Hall of Fame nominee, Chuck Foreman? He's getting in.
Enshriney.
Enshriney.
Nominee
And,
first and then Enshriney.
Absolutely. And we're gonna be pitching paint for another month or so, and then we're gonna change it up to go Weber grills and Scott Turf Builder, and they got everything there for all your projects.
And you know what? All you Viking fans now that told your significant others that, well, there's a game this Sunday. I don't have time to do it. You're out of luck. So you might as well go to Ace and get this done.
Do it now.
And also, I'm sure they have bricks to store up for next year when you want to throw it at the TV because they go one and done again.
We should just pick up a brick and
well, the way they going, we don't even know what's going to be happening. So they might not even make the playoffs.
But you know what, Chuck? This is a team of destiny. They are destined to go 50-plus years without a Super Bowl appearance.
Yeah.
It's almost
And guess
like now.
what? I happen to be the last guy. I mean, one of the last guys to play in one. How about that?
When at the very end, were you in your last game that you played?
Doing, man? You broke my hand.
Shaking my hand. Chuck, were you the last guy to touch the ball for the Vikings? Was it a run play or a pass play in that?
I can't
that
remember.
Oakland game?
I can't remember.
Because it's I know
I already know. The only thing I remember is I didn't get it enough.
you didn't get it at the goal line when you should have.
Nope, when I should have. Nope.
Brett McClanahan.
But that's what happens. Some of these coaches, they get to the point where they trying to, instead of go with what you know is going to work,
exactly.
you try to do something different, and it never worked.
What was the situation was you had a turnover. You were inside the 5. Was it at the goal line?
Inside the 5. Normally it was like the 3-yard line, something like that. I usually just jump over top of that.
Well, that's what doesn't make sense. But why? What did you think when they called the play?
When
for
they called strong right 22 lead. That meant Chuck Foreman was blocking, and Brent was going to get the ball.
You know what you should have done? Should have done what A.J. Brown does: read a book. Just should have read a book
Oh, that was crazy. I saw that
in there. All right, we talked about it. We got to talk about it now. Who, if McCarthy is not fully healthy, would they keep Darnold? Will they go with Jones, or would they look into? I guarantee you that Justin Jefferson is already probably lobbying them to get Cousins here if it's only going to cost $1 million.
Well, it wouldn't be a bad thing to do. I mean, certainly for $1 million. I mean, Atlanta's on the hook for what, $90 million?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can get
That's
him for
almost
$1
why
million,
they need to keep him.
At least you know what you know what you're going to get within our offense.
Yeah, and but you know
that's what they're going to do.
And you tell them that, hey, we're bringing you in, but McCarthy you may not be playing the whole
now
year.
you talking about so in other words, Sam Darnold's gone.
I don't see how you keep him after this
Why?
because he was miserable.
Because he's going to get more money someplace else.
Well, he will get more money than $10 million, but I don't think they should be the ones putting that money out. Not if McCarthy's your future. Because there was a point 2 weeks ago.
But you saying the future with a guy that we don't even know can play at this level.
Yes, but we do know that the guy who would make the big bucks can't play at the level when you're in the pressure situation.
But that's because the people up front that are supposed to keep the pressure off of him put the pressure on him.
And that's because the coach didn't do anything.
All
for the
right,
people
so
up front.
that's not the quarterback. That's the
It's
players
not.
up front and the coach.
But don't you think the coach is going to blame him? He's not going to blame himself.
Well, okay.
We talked
All
about
right,
this.
Bob, excuse me, Tyler, I'm going to say this last thing. You ain't never changing my mind about Darnold.
And that's fine.
All right.
I think
We
what he
talked,
did was
though-
impressive for the year.
Why doesn't it make sense? Daniel Jones, we already talked about this a few weeks ago. He's going to start week 1. We're going to give JJ some more time. We're not going to have to pay Daniel Jones either. We know what we're going to get from Kirk Cousins. He's got cement on his feet. He's got an Achilles never going to get better. He's aging. Let JJ come, give him another year sitting behind Daniel Jones, and then we see if he's ready.
And then you're going to hope that you got a quarterback when you know you got one already.
I think we got one in Daniel Jones. I think he's
No.
proven it.
I ain't talking about Daniel Jones. He didn't play it down here yet.
Chuck,
I'm talking about Sam Darnold.
I have, and Jim, I want you to thoughts on
he
this.
ain't
I
got
have
it.
never seen a player who had the high of being put on his teammates' shoulders one week, and the next week it just all started to unravel. Line or not, coaching or not, he actually was worse in the Detroit game than he was this past week. He at least had some passes that were to the receivers. Detroit was beyond,
Yeah, well,
It's horrible.
I see it from a different perspective.
You do, and that's the great thing about it, that you do have another perspective, and I respect your perspective.
All right, I understand you.
You're a loyal. You're like
No, it had nothing to do with loyalty.
he's
It's got to
believing
know. It's got to be. It's about knowing what I'm seeing
yeah.
and knowing what created the problem, because I've experienced that problem.
If we got
line.
to spend money
That's
on
right.
offensive. We need an offensive line. We got to have it.
You need
In
to,
our division, look at Green Bay's line. They improved.
Detroit
Our
might have the
line,
best
Detroit's got. besides Philadelphia, they just like gangsters. They just beat you up and then just tell you hey, I'm coming to beat you up and I'm gonna take your family away from you, and that's it. They got
Get you
that
lunch,
Detroit.
too.
You remember back in the day, Detroit was known for their gangsters and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's rubbing off on their players, man.
So, all right. So, let me ask you this: if Darisaw back, O'Neal, you're fine at tackle. The entire interior needs to be redone. Both guards and center, or just the guards?
I think the whole, center and guards.
Well, could Cam Robinson, you keep him and put him at guard? Can he move there? 'Cause he
I
didn't-
think he's athletic enough.
yeah, he was not terrible. For
No,
them.
not for somebody that just came in
Yeah.
and picked it up.
As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, until the last two games, it looked good. He wasn't a factor.
Okay, so Chuck,
Yeah.
how did the wheels come off so badly for the offensive line then? Where do you think, was there a scheme that Campbell found and then McVay just used that roadmap from the Lions game? Or because we didn't see this kind of porous protection earlier in the season.
Well, from what I saw, and it seemed to me that the defensive lines were off the ball much quicker than our guys were reacting to it. It's just like they would half a step ahead,
Right?
Like especially at the tackles, they were like they had that extra step, and when they were trying to push him, they would buy him, so they would push him. They were going right to the quarterback up front. I mean, the guards, they just didn't play their best football. That's all I can say.
So could O'Connell have gone? Are there plays you can use to try to help your line out, either screens or jet sweeps, or I'm just
It
throwing
seemed
things
like,
out
I know
there.
it seemed like they were prepared for all that. Even the screens, they were right in the screen. Mm-hmm. They scouted these guys. They didn't make much of a change, I don't think, from the previous week, because it seemed like to me that it was the same defense, other than the fact that L.A. played a little bit more zone.
Right, they weren't man on man.
Yeah,
like
they
Detroit
weren't man
was.
on man like Detroit. Detroit put that was his name, Robinson, that 21 on JJ, and he pretty much shut him down 1-on-1. But with the Rams, I saw a little bit more, zone, and even with that, they still executed that thing precisely.
Chuck, when you played, because after covering football since '84, you played. When you got to the postseason, did the refs let you play a little bit more and not call things as tight? Because I think they were roughing up those receivers starting in Detroit, and I think the refs were letting them. They were not calling as many pass interference penalties as they had in the regular season.
I think they call it a little different in the playoffs.
And I think you have to adjust and be prepared for that.
You got to be, and guys weren't open. It's just, and when they were, quarterback wasn't on point. And that comes from pressure all the way around. And we didn't adapt, or we didn't, like I said, playoff football, playoff attitude, playoff preparation is a whole different deal. I got lucky because I came here when we had a veteran team, and I just went with the flow. What they did, I did. And, they didn't, practices, they didn't mess around. They would I mean, back in my time, it was like, hey, Rook, you know, this is our money making time.
They were big bonus, big enough to make a difference.
That's the way they say, hey, this is my savings time. This is my new house time. Don't mess it up. And I'm like looking at them, and I'm like, you know, I thought they were serious too. No, I'm serious.
No, but it was big money then.
Like, I'm looking at them like, wow, yeah, it was big money. That was your
like,
that was the money you could save.
Wasn't like 5,000, 7,500?
5,000, 7,500.
But that's like a third of some guy's salary or half.
But you got to
Not
remember,
half.
when I first came in the league, you could buy a house for $35,000, and you spent $70,000. You got a real nice place.
Oh, but it's a mansion.
Yeah.
That house now is going for $1 million.
Yeah, like I'm like, yeah, now. So those guys did not mess around. They were like, okay, this is the way it is.
I'll tell you what, you put in windows from the window store, it's even worth even more.
Well, and then I remember in halftime, did you hear about that Carilla deal with us in halftime?
No. Oh, the chalkboard one?
Yeah, man. I was scared then. Really. I was sitting there. I was like,
all right, so you guys were losing in the first half, or were not
losing,
playing well?
We weren't playing well. The offense was like, dang, he took that damn one chalkboard.
Okay, so we'll lay it out, though, for those that aren't familiar. So you're losing at halftime.
Right.
You're going into the locker room.
Right.
And
we
Was
were
this
in
the
there.
championship game?
One of them, yeah. And so we're in there. Okay, and, you know, Jerry Burns is up there with the chalkboard. That's what we used back in those days. The chalkboard, he's going through, you know, with the chalk and telling everybody where it needed to be. Carl comes in there, and I can't say the word he used. He picked that thing up and threw it and said that. And if you don't go play, I'm going to boom, boom, boom. You know.
Words of encouragement.
Yeah, like that. And, you know, Carl, I wouldn't want, heck no. So those guys, you know, they took him serious. He was serious, too. And if you would have seen his eyes, I told you I was scared.
Was he the scariest player on your team?
When he was mad, yeah. I saw him go against Bob. Remember that big tackle, Bob Brown with the L.A. Rams?
Oh, yeah.
He was the greatest offensive tackle I ever seen. And him and Carl were going at it one time out there, and we were out there, and they called for this backups, Larry Dibbles and Larry Smiley, to go in there to replace Carl because Bob Brown had those big hammers, and he came up under Carl and knocked the wind out, and he had to come out of the game.
Okay.
The coach said, Dibbles, Smiley, get in there. They ran to the other end of the bench. No, that's a true story. That's a true story. And, of course, you know, they didn't last too much after that. But those guys, you know, that's how physical the game was.
All right, so what happened in the locker room after he destroyed the chalkboard? Did you guys just all sit there, or was anybody say anything?
Heck no, everybody too scared. You don't understand, man. It was like game time, just real deep stuff. I can't even begin to describe it, but his eyes were like, hey, if you don't, you know.
When you played, because when you look back at that team, there are absolutely three guys who you could take you, Carl, and Yari, pluck them from the 70s and put them now, and you guys had the size, the speed, the ability to just be put in. The other guys, some of them were undersized.
Well,
Ed White, maybe
White
too. Who else? Who am I forgetting? I mean, obviously Alan Page was phenomenal, but he could not play defensive tackle now, and not at his size.
When I first got in the league, you know, Alan was, you know, because when he lost all that weight, yeah, he was bigger, and that was one of the problems. I think Bud wanted him to put that weight back on, but even at 270, 280, whatever Alan was when I first got here, now he can play anytime, any place, anywhere.
They'd find a position for him.
I don't care, but that guy was unbelievable.
All right, Tyler, we're sitting here as fans.
Yep.
Where does this one rank on the scale of, are you kidding me? Where does this one sit for someone that has watched this team his entire life?
I mean, it hurts, right? It hurts. It reminds you of all the other seasons. I don't think it's anywhere close to a 98 or even a few years ago, we lost in the first round of the Giants. But, what we talked about earlier, we don't have – you live or die by your line. Right? Like, that's the core of a team. And we just don't have it on the offensive side. It's clear. And, O'Connell is not going on the chopping block with me like Mike said or like Bob said over here. I think he's doing a great job.
Who? O'Connell?
O'Connell.
Oh, you take a break. We're taking a break, and we're going to come back to that one.
Let him finish his thought.
No, he's going to pick right up there because we're going too long with this segment. We got to come back. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Then Tyler's going to continue his defense of the head coach. You know what? You know windows. You don't know coaching. All right, we're going to take a quick break and be right back. We are back with more of the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, Fox 9's Jim Rich, Tyler Ganz from the window store. Now, I feel horrible. I cut you off in mid-thought, so just pick up with the sentence that you ended with, the last word you said.
I'm not against O'Connell.
You're an O'Connell sycophant.
I'm an O'Connell fan. The amount of positivity, energy that he has brought to our team and our organization.
I don't argue with that.
To create the environment that we have to attract players to want to come to our city and play, I believe is greater than what Chuck said. You go to those playoff games, you got to go to the next level. Is it O'Connell's deal to get those guys to push to the next level? Is it the veterans on the team, or is it just the player that's got to get out there? Like you got to know, you got to go one more level up. So I'm not against O'Connell.
Well, I don't know that we have enough guys that have had that playoff experience.
I agree.
To share that with the players that are currently on the team. That's see, for me, they had a whole team of guys that had that experience and knew how to get to that next level, and all I had to do was follow. But I don't know how many of those guys we have on our current team.
Well, don't you? When you played, was it a combination of the players and Bud?
Bud too. Yeah,
I mean, Bud was a good coach.
Yeah, well, he was a good coach, and plus he won those championships up in Canada.
Yeah.
I think so. He
had like
knew
4 of them, right?
Yeah, he had all that going on, and he had everybody dialed in, and so that's a part of the game people don't quite understand. It's a whole different level of competition, even though it's the same people. But I just remember in my experience how different it was in the locker room and how quaint and quiet and just serious it was. It was serious all along, but this was just really, really almost solemn, kind of like, where am I? What happened? And then I realized it was a whole different thing that they were going to. It was like everybody was focused on what they had to do.
Well, if O'Connell does anything in the offseason, he really needs to reflect. And I think his problem is he just feels his system is the way to go. He has to make adjustments. Go to last year, Josh Dobbs, great first game.
Right.
Because he's a freelance quarterback.
Great 2 games.
But then he decided he's going to make him the quarterback that he wants in that system. Josh Dobbs was the wrong guy for that.
Yep.
And I think that he needs, as he matures as a coach, maybe he'll start realizing that he has to adapt every bit as much as any player would have to adapt.
Well, when he's with the Jets next year, it'll be interesting to see that.
Who, O'Connell?
Yeah.
When he's traded there?
Top traded.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
By the way, okay, you have 3 draft picks, 4 maybe. You have to reload this team. You have 25 free agents at least that you have to address.
Well, you got to reload.
Where are you going to get? This league, you survive on draft picks. Your drafts have to hit. Look at Detroit. They built it with picks. Look at all the teams. The Rams. Are you
really saying that they're going to trade Kevin O'Connell? Come on.
What if Kevin goes to the Wolves and say, okay, you told me last year that we're not going to talk extension now. We'll see how you do next year. And maybe that perturbed him. And maybe he said, you know what? Fine. You guys don't think I can do the job? I want out. He'll have 20 teams after him.
No, we won't have 20 teams. Yeah, the Jets. By the way, the Jets are interviewing like 16 candidates, and the Bears are interviewing like 18. It's unbelievable. These teams are so inept. But I will say the Jets are worse than any.
Okay, but who wants to go coach that?
You know who the Jets just interviewed for the GM position?
Who?
Kevin O'Connell's college roommate.
Who is?
I can't remember the guy's name.
And so you thinking Kevin might go over there?
He's not going to go.
Okay. This story, Jay Glazer.
Oh, shit.
Jay Glazer of Fox. I know the guy.
Okay.
And he's been around 30 years. He didn't just walk into the NFL and Fox pregame show that day and say, you know what? I got nothing. I got nothing. So I'm just going to make this up, and we're going to say Vikings are thinking about trading O'Connell, or teams are thinking about trying to trade for O'Connell from the Vikings. Somebody planted that seed with him. Was it O'Connell's agent trying to get him more cash, trying to turn up the heat? Somebody in O'Connell's camp told Jay Glazer what's going down.
And if that were to happen, which I severely doubt, they got a guy on the defense that they could just make the head coach. Makes life easier because I think he is a better game day coach based on what he did in Miami. There's a guy who did not want to dump games. Yeah. He is fierce. Yeah. I think he'd be a good head coach.
Not only that, I think players, when they see that, they like, okay, I got respect for him. I do. Mm-hmm. I met him one time, and I want to meet him again because I only got to say, hey, how you doing? Congratulations and stuff like that. But yeah, I got much respect for that guy.
And if let's play out Jim's wacky scenario.
Okay.
If you were to take, let's say he left, make Josh McCown your offensive coordinator. Bridget, the other guy, Bum Phillips' grandson. You can take him, McCown. He's very well respected. Mm-hmm. He's doing a lot. A lot of it is Darnold's success is O'Connell and Josh McCown.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I think he could certainly, and so could Phillips if you needed one of them to call plays. This team could survive fine. I think I'm not pushing for the league.
So if you I'm saying if you get offered a couple number ones for him, let them go.
I don't know if
and then all you have to do is get a youth camp counselor to tell everybody we're all family and we love each other to take over that part of O'Connell's job.
Chuck, if you got 2 number ones, would you trade them?
Yeah.
I think for 2 number ones, I would. For 2 number
Exactly.
But let's throw this in. But who's making the picks with those 2 number ones? A guy who's not exactly shown. As a matter of fact, where is Lewis Seen now? Is in Philadelphia.
Who?
As a special teams player. Remember his first overall pick?
I thought he was still on the team.
No.
Nope.
Oh, well, remember that he traded out of the spot where he could have had Kyle Hamilton,
right,
a perennial All-Pro, and decided to take Lewis Seen? Yeah, that was what he because you don't know what he's going to do with those picks. I think they're much better at. They will stock up with guys they don't want to leave and free agents, and I think that's how you rebuild your line with free agents.
All right.
I would take. There's some great running backs coming out. I would take a running back where they're going to be picking. All right. Well, you know what? Let's take a break. We got to hear from Tyler because he's got a lot to tell people coming up, and we got to tell people also where to see Chuck during the playoffs. So let's take a quick break. Yes, sir. And we'll be back with more of the JimBob Sports Jamboree. We are back with the JimBob Sports Jamboree. Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, Fox 9's Jim Rich, Tyler Ganz from the Window Store. I'm Bob Sansevere, and we should keep rolling during the break because we have some lively conversations about what's going on. And I got to ask, I want to go back to Jim again. What do you see, knowing who the free agents are leaving, what would be the first position you address? Would it be the line or would it be...
Yeah, it's got to be the line. I believe entirely Chuck's theory that you win in the trenches. Those are the guys that make it happen, and they need that. And you know what else you need? And guys in the trenches to get it done so your house is up to snuff. Tyler, you got any ideas where people should go to get their... houses up to snuff, and guys in the trenches that know what they're doing and does their job and comes to work every day?
Well, Window Store being in business for over 20 years, our guys know how to get it done, so let's not get that twisted. What I'm pushing today is, right now we're in this cold spell here. It was -5 this week, and wind chills way below 0. If your heating bill is getting way up there, $300, $400, $500. Don't wait
I
to
wish
put your
it was
window.
that cheap.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if it's up there, don't wait because the financing options that we have 0% options. If you want to pay for this till after you get your tax return, don't wait. Come in. Or if you're going to save 30-40% of your heating bill, well, we can get you into a payment program that's going to be less than that. You'll be making money even if you finance it through. So what I tell people right now in the dead of winter, don't wait. We have a program that's going to fit your budget. That's going to fit what's right for you. That's what we want to do. We want to make it work for you so you can get that energy savings and get the value back into your home and let the boys in the trenches do their work.
Love it. And where do they go? How do we get a hold of you?
WindowsStoreInc.com. WindowsStoreInc.com.
All right. What if I want to call you?
Oh, gosh. photo off the top of my head. I don't know what it is.
WindowStoring.com. The number's right there.
It's on your.
Yes,
Just go
it's
on your
on the
phone
website.
and type in Window Store. We'll come right up. Be right on.
Yeah, you know what? People are driving, listening. You don't want them writing it down. You just go.
That's true.
Window
That's
Storing.
true.
What are you trying to do? Kill people, Jim? Come on.
My fault.
All right, now Chuck is going to be at. Where's he going to be this weekend?
Well, he's
and heading to the Super Bowl.
We're going to the Super Bowl. We're going right to the big game. And this is the Viking Legends Super Bowl party starring Chuck Foreman. They're going to be hanging out at Paul Krause's garage. Chuck is bringing some friends with him besides Paul, who will be there. You'll also have Stu Voigt and Mark Mullaney. It's meet and greet, but it's way more than that, Chuck. You guys get into the games. You get into play calling. You spend time with these fans.
Right.
And tickets are available at Sports Legends USA. SportsLegends.com.
Can I give a plug?
SportsLegendsUSA.com. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Chuck was just out at the Dugout Bar in Matamidi, and I will tell you, he did. He was engaged with every fan that was up there. Got the kids smiling. He did it. It was so fun. I can't thank you enough again for coming out there.
No problem.
Chuck,
You got a nice place out there, too.
it's really great how much you guys were engaging, with
Right.
the people that were there. I mean, we had a guy fly out from Alabama just to see you, right? Like, it was pretty cool.
And I thought that was crazy. But I mean, good, but I'm like, wow, all the way from Alabama.
Yeah.
But we definitely enjoy meeting with the fans and watching the games with the fans. I think that's like, it takes us back, because a lot of people that come were at Met Stadium when I played. And then they got their kids with them and their grandkids and all that. So it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
SportsLegendsUSA.com is where you can get tickets for a Super Bowl party like none other. Robert?
That is terrific, too, to have that, for people to have the opportunity to meet you, because it is a big deal for a lot of people.
It certainly is.
The guy flew up from out. No, not. I mean, why didn't he should have flown you down.
Yeah, right.
Well, I don't
That's
know.
happened before.
Yeah,
You've been
yeah,
flown to people's
I've-
parties.
Yeah, I've done that too. But
You have?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Were people flowing you to their parties?
Yeah, I've been to
the guy in
people-
New Jersey, right?
Yeah, Jersey. I've been to
Where in Jersey,
Florida. Where was
North
I?
Jersey, Jersey
wait,
Shore?
No, I'm at Passaic. Is that
Passaic, that's North Jersey, yep.
Yeah, Passaic.
That's pretty good. That's a heck of a story.
Yeah.
All right, so
That's your home.
Well, Passaic is
you
like
from Jersey.
I'm from. Well, I was born in Hackensack, where people can have a heart attack.
Yeah.
Remember the Billy
Yeah,
Joel?
yeah.
And I grew up at the Jersey Shore,
Yeah.
which it was. I mean, it was a good place to grow up.
Right.
You're Maryland, Tyler. Where are you from? Born
Minnesota, born and raised.
here? And Jim, of course, is Duluth. Duluth is part of Canada, or it's still part of the Minnesota?
No, we're still part till they. We're going to become the 51st state, but that's another story.
All right. Now, as we start to wind down this segment, Vikings are done. Obviously, who do you see? I mean, who's going to win this thing? Let me just say this: it would not shock me. I said earlier, really wouldn't shock me if we saw the Rams playing the Redskins in the championship game. Both of those
I
teams are
think
good.
that's a possibility.
But who do you think we'll see in the Super Bowl?
I'm sticking with my prediction from 4 weeks ago. Lions, Chiefs.
I think that I like the Lions for sure. I think they're dominant on the NFC side. Chiefs, they might have a problem with Baltimore.
I think their offense is going to start to explode.
Wow, it might, but I'm just saying what I'm seeing in the later part of the year with Baltimore, and they seem to be playing. They made some adjustments on defense, and their defense is playing much better. And Lamar, of course, out of this world, and that big running back.
Derrick Henry's
Derrick Henry.
Well, you gotta love it.
Hey, but listen, I'm 6'2", right? He's 6'4".
Yeah.
And plus, he's 253 pounds.
But all these talk about it's a throwing league. It's a throwing league. Wouldn't it be fun if the best running team in the league, comes
You
out
got
to
you
the
got
championship?
you got Saquon Barkley, and you got Henry. All those are the two top teams in the NFC, right?
Beast.
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay, of course you got LA, but I'm talking about the run game.
Yeah.
And and they're trying to devalue the running back, right? But
Exactly.
who's taking you to the Super Bowl?
That's my point.
The two running backs.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, if Buffalo wound up going, James Cook is a pretty good running back.
He's
Had he been hurt or not injured all year, or
Right.
most of the year, Isaiah Pacheco is one heck of
Oh
a
wow,
back.
yeah, he is.
The only team that is not like they have Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson, but Washington does not have like an elite back now.
But wait a minute now. That Brian Robinson kid,
he's pretty good.
He can run it when he's healthy.
Yeah. So it'd be fun. Jim, what about you? Who do you like?
I say until they're beat, you got to go with the Chiefs.
I agree.
They just they know what it takes to get it done.
That's right.
They monkey around in the regular season just to get what we need, but when it's time to play, you talked about that attitude of the team and the way you guys were when it became playoff time. I think that's
they got
maybe what's going on in Kansas City's locker room as well.
And that they solid all the way with that.
And by the way, Chris Jones is a modern day Carl Eller.
Yeah,
you don't want to piss that guy off.
Yeah, he's from Canada.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh. All right, Tyler, Window Store. We got to remind people about that. Chuck Foreman, the legend. Jim Rich, also a legend of television. The senior TV guy, and I don't want to hear the stuff about Joe Schmidt. He left the business for a while. He left and came back. You are the king. No, you're the longest running. All right. Thank you to all. We can't wait to talk to you about next week after the Vikings. Oh, wait a minute. They didn't make it. All right. We'll talk to you next week.
On behalf of Vikings legend Chuck Foreman and Fox 9's Jim Rich, I'm Bob Sansevere. And I want to say thank you to all of our listeners and our radio partners. KXRA in Alexandria, KRWC in Buffalo, KDHL in Faribault and Owatonna, KDAL and WDSM in Duluth, WNMT in Hibbing, KTOE in Mankato, AM 660 The Bear, WBHR in St. Cloud, and Wild 102 FM in Roseau. Also, KWOA AM FM in Worthington, and KKBJ in Bemidji, and Bob Total Country, serving the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and surrounding areas. We'll talk to you later.